Hey, what's going on everyone? My name is John Thor and this is Thrower Overboard. My last few videos have been a little on the spicy side, so I figured I'd ease off a bit and cover something a little different. In Canada, we recently had the debates for the Conservative Party leadership candidates, and so I figured, hey, let's check those out. Let's go over some of that and their policies, their personalities. But I realize only a portion of my audience, however small, is from Canada, and so on its own might not be of interest to you, except maybe in the fact that it might be interesting to see how Conservative candidates here in Canada stack up versus Conservative candidates wherever you might be from. And that's where Trump comes in. I don't want this video to be missing the spice completely. And Trump, he always brings the spice. Frankly, I bring the spice. So as we go over the Conservative candidates, I'd like to point you towards some of the similarities and differences when it comes to their demeanor, their strength, their firmness, policies. Which candidates are truly conservative? Who is most like Trump? Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell too because there are rumors swirling of Prime Minister Trudeau calling an election even as early as this fall to capitalize on a new Conservative leader whom people don't really know. And so having a strong leader will be particularly important to bring the fight to Justin Trudeau. I'm going to review the Conservative candidates in alphabetical order using their first name, and I'll let you know my subjectively objective favorite candidate, who they are, at the end of this video. But let's kick things off with Mr. Derek Sloan. Derek Sloan's slogan is conservative without apology, and he is indeed probably the most conservative of all the candidates, and his slogan rings very true. He was embroiled in some controversy over some rhetorical comments he made about Canada's chief medical officer and whether she worked for Canada or China via the WHO. The Conservatives' Ontario caucus even actually demanded that Derek Sloan apologize for those comments. And while he did issue further clarifying remarks, he never did apologize. Conservative without apology. This leads to the first pro in my books and some Trump points. Keep an eye out for those. A lack of shame for being conservative and being opposed to apologizing for something that you have not done or have done but don't feel is wrong. I think that's a good thing. Don't throw out apologies if they're not actually meant. Sloan has spoken out against cancel culture, is determined to bring more strength to enforcing free speech, and is committed to not bowing to left-wing progressive attacks, but instead meeting them head-on and offering truly conservative ideas as the solutions for today's problems, rather than watered-down liberal policies. He wants to withdraw funding from the UN and other global bodies, putting the focus on Canada and Canadians first, protecting our sovereignty. This is Trump points. Huge Trump points. In terms of demeanor, Sloan is a milder, more timid Trump. He seems quite bold by Canadian standards, especially in his policies, but as observed in the debates, he is quieter than some of the other Conservative candidates. And, of course, is much quieter than Trump himself. So, Trump points added for the boldness, but then some removed for the gentleness. And while all of the Conservative candidates are indeed pro-gun and will look to review the Firearms Act here in Canada and undo Trudeau's bungled gun ban, Sloan takes it to the next level. He'd like to rewrite the Firearms Act, and while recognizing it would be next to impossible to change the Constitution here in Canada, he'd like to simplify the gun classifications. Get rid of restricted firearms, and just have non-restricted and prohibited. While likely still needing a separate course for handguns than rifles and shotguns, they would effectively be the same, treated the same. Imagine being able to target shoot on your farm with a handgun. That would be great. While it's not quite US Second Amendment levels, which Trump fights for, it would be a huge leap forward. Mega Trump points. He's pro-life too, with some good policies that most Canadians would actually be on board with if it doesn't get drowned out by liberal fear-mongering. So, bonus points. Next up, Erin O'Toole. Erin O'Toole is, I would say, a moderate conservative. In the last leadership election, O'Toole campaigned on being more moderate or centrist, and in this campaign, he's pushing himself as a more true blue conservative. So he probably sits in the middle as a moderate conservative. His campaign slogan is "Take Back Canada," and he's one of two frontrunners. He served in the Air Force and had previously served under Prime Minister Harper as the Minister of Veterans Affairs. His campaign has involved a number of well-made videos to stir up pride in our resources, industry, agriculture, military, and overall national pride. His campaign speaks to having that national pride in our industries and in our people, in our nation. This lends itself to a nationalist feel of sorts that earns O'Toole some Trump points. Of the four candidates, Erin O'Toole is probably the loudest in actual speaking, but carries a fatherly charm to him. His bold personality, while no match for Trump's bombastic nature, earns him some Trump points. And while the debates were largely amiable, O'Toole was the most combative between him and Peter MacKay, giving him some additional Trump points. Third, Leslyn Lewis. Leslyn Lewis is a first-generation Canadian having immigrated from Jamaica with her parents. She is a lawyer with a master's in environmental studies, and her campaign slogan is courage, compassion, common sense. Lewis has a calm and quiet demeanor and is likely about the same level of moderate conservative as Erin O'Toole, except, and it is a big exception, that she is socially conservative, pro-life. Give a couple Trump points. Like Derek Sloan, she has called out political correctness, standing against it, getting in the way of having free and open discussions, so some Trump points there. She speaks up for free speech, pulling out of the UN Global Compact on migration, reducing foreign aid to instead help Canadians more. Better believe, more Trump points. And finally, Peter MacKay. Peter MacKay has been out of the politics game for a while, but actually has a long history in politics. He is most notable for being one of the founders of the Canadian Conservative Party. He became leader for the Progressive Conservative Party before merging with the Reform Alliance Party led by Stephen Harper. Being from the Progressive Conservatives originally means many see him as the leadership candidate who was the furthest to the left. I think Peter MacKay is a good speaker and holds himself well. He supports many conservative ideas. I would hope so. He is looking to lead the Conservative Party, but seems the most timid when it comes to those actual conservative ideas, the least bold. He does speak with passion, so there's some Trump points there, but he is very much in the center. The media, aka the left-wing activists, they approve of Peter MacKay, minus Trump points. That's the opposite. And that seems to say something, or I think it does. Why do those who oppose conservative ideas seem to want MacKay in? I'm positive he would be many times better in office than Justin Trudeau, but so would my dog. So who is the winner? Drum roll, please. Dun dun dun. In my opinion, it is Derek Sloan. He is my favorite candidate. Do I think he will win? Unfortunately not, but I'll be voting for him. Having a ranked ballot voting system and with no candidate likely getting more than 50% of the vote on the first round of voting, there's really no harm for those of us wanting to vote for Sloan in voting for Sloan as our number one. He's principled, pro-free speech, pro-life, pro-gun, anti-cancel culture, anti-political correctness, and anti-Antifa. He said he would designate the group as a terrorist organization, like Trump, so we better throw some extra Trump points there. He's my guy. But who do I think will actually win? Well, that goes to Erin O'Toole. I think Erin O'Toole will take this. Unless Peter MacKay can get more than 50% of the vote on the first round of voting, I think it goes to O'Toole. Most people voting for Leslyn Lewis or Derek Sloan will likely put O'Toole ahead of MacKay, being those candidates are further to the right, and Peter MacKay is on the opposite end of the spectrum. Erin O'Toole fits nicely in the middle there. But really, most importantly, who truly wins, having the most Trump points? So that also goes to Mr. Sloan. But what do you think? Who do you prefer? Whose policies, even if you're not Canadian, would you agree with most? Which candidate we ultimately choose will affect the direction of the party? Should it move more to the left, stay where it is, or move more to the right? I'm truly interested in seeing where the party goes. I'm really interested to see what you guys have to say about the different Conservative candidates. Anyway, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful time. Hit the like button if you liked it. You know what? Hit the dislike, of course, if you didn't like it. Leave me a comment, drop me a subscribe, and hit that little bell, ring it so that it will come a ringing when I come a bringing the content.